Before we move on to round 7, we're going to weave in our tail end. So grab your yarn needle from your Yarny Box kit, and then take the piece that you've crocheted so far and turn it over. And you should find the tail here like this. Make sure you tug on it really, really tight and make sure the circle is nice and closed before you do this. And then thread your yarn needle. And now we're going to take our needle and weave the yarn in and out of various stitches on the back side. You can do 5 or 6 times. Just make sure the tail is woven really well, and then it'll save it from unraveling later. So just like this, poke your needle in and out of random stitches in the back, and just make sure the tail is woven in nice and tight. And now that our tail is nice and woven in, we can move on to crocheting the body of the frog. So go ahead and take out your stitch marker. And now we are just placing a single crochet in every single stitch around the circle. We are no longer increasing. So make your first single crochet and mark that stitch. And then just place 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So just single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, and single crochet your way around the circle until we get back to the stitch marker. So coming up on the end of the round, we are going to be doing the exact same thing for the next round as well. So go ahead, remove your stitch marker, place your first single crochet of the round, and then mark that stitch. So then mark the stitch here. And we are just going to be single crocheting our way around the circle once again, so I'll meet you back once you are back at the stitch marker. So coming up on the end of the round, take out your stitch marker, make the first single crochet of this round, and mark that stitch. And then for the next 3 rounds, we are actually going to be doing the exact same thing, just single crocheting around the circle. Just don't forget to mark the stitch at the beginning of each round. I'm gonna speed up this portion, but again, for the next 3 rounds, all you're doing is making a single crochet. To count the rounds, this is round 1. This is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that's 8. So you can kind of see the different rows are kind of in a line and they're separated between little holes. So if you lose track, you do have a way of counting what row you're on. But I'm going to speed up this next part and I'll meet you back once you've done 3 rounds of single crochets. And don't forget to mark the beginning of each round. So we're just coming up on the end of round 11. And now we're gonna start decreasing to finish the body of the frog. So remove your stitch marker. And we're going to place a single crochet and then mark that stitch. And then do another 3 single crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to be doing a decrease, which is the opposite of an increase. So we're going to be combining 2 stitches into 1 stitch. So you can see here, if you insert your hook normally, there's 2 loops on your hook. We're actually only going to be working into the front loop. So you can see here, it's like that. The front loop of each of the next 2 stitches. So that's what it would look like normally. This is what we're doing. So insert your hook into the working round and then go into the front loop only of the next stitch and then go into the front loop only of the stitch directly beside that as well. So now you've got 2 stitches on your hook. And now yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. And now yarn over again and pull through the 2 loops. So that's called a decrease. We just combined 2 into 1. So now in the next 4 stitches, make a single crochet. So that's 2, 3, and 4. And now we're gonna do a decrease. So front loop only of this stitch, and then front loop only of the stitch beside it, like this. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, decrease, front loop only of the next stitch, front loop only of the next stitch, pull through 2, pull through 2. So we're going to be repeating this pattern all the way around until we get back to the stitch marker. And now we're going from 36 stitches down to 30 stitches. So that's a decrease, and then 4 single crochets, and then decrease. So combining 2 stitches into 1 stitch. And I will meet you back at the stitch marker. Alright, so that's the last decrease of the round. And you can see the body is curving upward a little bit. And that's exactly what we want. So remove your stitch marker and place a single crochet where it was. the first stitch of the round here, and then mark that stitch. And now in this round, we're going to be doing 3 single crochets and then a decrease. So that was 1. This is 2, 3, and decrease. So front loop only, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. Single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, decrease, front loop only of the next 2 stitches, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So in this round, we are going from 30 stitches down to 24 stitches. And something to keep in mind is when you're doing decreases, you want to make sure that your tension is pretty tight. Otherwise, you're going to end up with some pretty big holes. So just keep that in mind while you're decreasing. Try to keep tight tension while you're working. Just keep going in the pattern with 3 single crochets, decrease until you get back to the stitch marker. Okay, so that's the last decrease. And now you can see it's curving inwards even more. So remove your stitch marker and make a single crochet and then mark that stitch. In this round, we are doing 2 single crochets, decrease, so make another single crochet and then make a decrease. Single crochet, single crochet, decrease. And now in this round, we're going from 24 stitches down to 18 stitches. So just keep the pattern of 2 single crochet, decrease until you get back to the stitch marker. And now we're going to pause here and we're going to start stuffing the frog's body. Grab the stuffing and break it up like this. During transit, it probably got a little bit squished, so just break it up and make sure it's nice and fluffy. And then you're going to stuff the frog's body. Just make sure you are really shaping out the circle here. Your body's only going to look as good as your stuffing can make it look, so just make sure you are really rounding out the bottom of the body and stuffing it pretty well. You don't have to worry too much right now about stuffing it really full because we are still working on it, but just make sure you're rounding it out nicely. Alright, and now for this round we are going to be placing a single crochet and then marking that stitch. And for this round, we are doing single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease. So make your first decrease, and then single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease. And repeat that pattern until you get back to the stitch marker. It can be a little bit tricky here because you're working with something that's now stuffed, but just go slowly and make sure your tension is quite tight, and I'll meet you back where the stitch marker is. And now after this round, I like to keep stuffing the frog. So just push the stuffing down a bit with your finger and then add in a little bit more stuffing. When stuffing amigurumi, you want to make sure that it's pretty full, but not so full that you can see the stuffing through the holes. So definitely don't be shy with stuffing here. So as you can see, it's taking on a really nice round shape. And now this is the last row of stitches. So remove your stitch marker and we're going right into a decrease here. So make your decrease and then mark that stitch. And now we're decreasing all the way around. So another decrease, another decrease, and another decrease, and another, and we are doing 6 decreases in this round. So once you get back to the stitch marker, you can remove your stitch marker. And then again, I'm just adding a little bit more stuffing here. Make sure the bottom is really nice and rounded out. And now we can snip the yarn. Make sure to leave at least 8 inches of yarn. And then put your hook back into the loop, and in the next stitch we are going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull the yarn through all of the loops, just like this, and that's called a slip stitch. And that is also called fastening off. So now that we've done that, we can thread our yarn needle. And we're going to close the hole, and the way you do that is insert your needle into the front loop of each of these stitches. So as you can see, I'm going into the front loop of each of these stitches. And then just like a drawstring, you can pull it shut just like that. Make sure it's nice and tight, and then we are going to weave in our tail. So again, just inserting your hook into random holes throughout the bottom. Just go back and forth, making sure the tail is nice and secure. That concludes part 2. In part 3, I'm going to show you how to make the eyes of the frog and the belly of the frog, and I will see you there.